Welcome, all you business geeks, to the Business Geeks podcast, where we geek business. I'm Super Joe Pardo, and I'm joined by my two wonderful co-hosts. This week, we are discussing the topic of, is the idea that you have for your business actually good or great? Or is it really just ugly? Or is it really, really bad? We will discuss all of that. Hopefully, you're not the only one thinking that it's an awesome idea along the way. So where am I going here? Jennifer Crawford of the co-founder of Sparent.co. Jennifer, how are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling great. Thanks for asking, Joe.
Well,
I'm probably supposed to elaborate.
Yes, a little. Yeah. Why are you feeling great? What's going on?
I don't know. Well, I mean, I'm just, I'm good. I'm healthy. And, had a pretty good, productive day. Started a diet today.
I was waiting for that to give
wow.
something.
It's not.
That's
it's
so
not
good.
pretty. It's not pretty. Not pretty. I warn you. This is day one. Next week I'll be cranky. So cranky.
Oh,
I don't know. 7 days. Could be out the other side by then.
Anyway, well, it just reminded me that I do have a grind my gears, and it is related to my diet. So don't let me forget about that later.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right. And we are also joined by Samantha Riley of SamanthaRiley.global. How are you feeling this morning, Sam?
Yeah, morning on this side of the world.
You almost caught me.
Well, it must be tricky when it's nighttime there thinking, hey, happy morning.
Yes.
Is happy morning, is that even a thing? Anyway, it is a thing. I'm having a great morning so far. This is a great place to be this early in the day to hang out with you guys.
Aww.
And super good, super good. Super busy in the business, getting ready to do another virtual intensive next week. So looking forward to that.
That is awesome to hear.
How are you, Joe?
I am doing very well, actually. We had a successful conference, virtual conference over the weekend. On Saturday, it was podcasting for beginners. We had I don't know. I think the views on that thing was like over, I think it's like climbing up to like 800 or something like that right now. I wish Facebook would show you. Facebook shows you on the app how many views your Facebook lives have when you do it in a group, but otherwise it doesn't show you. I'm looking on my desktop and it doesn't show you nothing. So I
didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, I figured somebody would probably find that interesting, right? And I found that person.
And that person is me.
Yeah, yay!
I thought you could see it. I don't know. I think I've been able to see it if I've clicked on comments for some reason, and then the number will come up.
I don't think so. Here, let me see. I'm going to share. Okay. So it's got 17 shares, 437 comments.
I can't see that, Joe, even with my glasses.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah. Okay. So if you click in the comment box, what happens?
So that's comments. If I click comments, it just drops down this box. So if I view more comments.
Oh, there you go. It doesn't show.
Yeah, so you got to pull it up on your phone, and then it'll show you all. Because I was tallying all the live streams and stuff that I've been doing, because I've been doing daily live streams in the group, and I was also tallying up all the all the views from the conferences, and then getting an average. So I was updating my media kit to sell sponsorships for the upcoming one that's on June 27th, which is monetize your podcast, which is something that we absolutely need to do here on the Business Geeks.
Absolutely.
Monetize everything.
Yes, monetize all the things. So two cool things that one thing I announced was we canceled our September event, live in-person event, and then announced that we're doing Icon 6, Indie PodCon 6, live from the backyard with a maximum of 50 people at my house.
So cool.
And, porta potties and lots of hand sanitizer and social distancing and all that stuff. So I am pumped. There's people that were like, where can I buy tickets for this? And I'm like, give me till like the end of the week to get all that straightened out for like the live stream tickets and all that stuff. So there's a lot a lot of things going. Yeah, so people are absolutely pumped. Thank you. We do it one way or another here, right?
That's right.
We figure
Making it happen.
Out.
Making it happen.
Yeah, so it was, that was some pretty cool, awesome things going on there. But yeah, so this week we're talking about, is your idea a good, great, good, bad, or ugly kind of idea, and how to figure out if you think it's awesome. And I know, Jen, you're going to start this out, but I just wanted to pitch my idea when I told both of you last week. I was like, hey, guess what I'm going to do? We're gonna get a tent, and we're gonna put this event in my backyard with a maximum.
I think we're about to get busted, Jen. I think we're about to get busted.
I still don't love the idea. I'll be honest. Like, I would never do it.
Right. I know. Not everybody would, but that's what makes me. And I'm gonna make it happen.
I do have a question in terms of, because there's porta-johns and then there's porta-johns. Like, are you doing fancy porta-johns, or are you doing like the basic construction site porta-johns? You know, there are nice porta-johns, right? That are
I did not know that.
Almost like little mobile units. Like they're almost like real bathrooms.
Hold on, I'm Googling this. Fancy.
It's gonna be expensive.
I didn't know that there was a difference either, Jen.
And they're also ADA compliant. They're also ADA compliant, which I think is important.
That's a good point. So you're talking about something like this,
yeah,
where it's
something like that.
Like a porta potty trailer.
It's a little trailer.
Yeah,
it's off the ground.
Yeah. So I am open to it. With that said, ticket prices start at $100 with a maximum of 50 people, with the live stream being about 25, going up to about 50, maybe 75.
Well, if you want to use the fancy porta-john, add $50 to the ticket, or you can use the regular porta-john for no extra cost.
I was thinking regular because they're like 125. I don't know what the difference is in price, but like if I could get two in a trailer, right, for $500, then all of it, like if you're talking like 125 for the regular and you're getting 2 or maybe even 3 of the nice ones in a trailer, then what do you think I'm going to go with? The nice ones.
I hope you're going to go with the nice ones.
Obviously the nice ones.
Well,
right?
I was a little bit scared to answer, clearly. I went very silent because I was like, I don't know.
Just say what I know. She knows me very well. And hey, like there's so many ideas. Like you could even go back to like Indie MapCon 5, right? And I was like, hey, Sam, I don't really want to pay $4 per soda that's a can that's this size. And you're like, kill it. Ditch it. Kill it. Right. And I'm like,
I did.
But it's not worth it. Right. Like it ended up costing me like $100 in soda, but it made people happy. And that's what we want. Right. It didn't cost me $1,000, so it's anyway. So I think wait, is this porta potty fancy because it's purple? Can we get purple porta potties? Because
that is not fancy.
It's got a plant inside of it. Come on.
That is just weird.
This one's pretty fancy.
That one's fancy. Yeah.
That's fancy. Yeah. That looks like a holiday home in a porta potty.
One of those tiny houses.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, that looks sort of.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
Something for the Halloween.
It looks like something you go in and not come out of.
Exactly. I can't believe we're discussing this.
Wow. Right. Yeah, I bet you didn't think when you were tuned in tonight for the Business Geeks podcast, we were talking about fancy porta.
That's why there's no one there. Is there anyone there?
There's right now we have 2 people watching. What's up, 2 people? Where are you watching from? Who's watching? Like, let us know it.
Yeah,
so
confess.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you might think it's a weird topic, but for those of us who do put on conferences and events, bathrooms are a big deal. Like where people are going to go.
They actually really are.
Capacity and where they're located and the, comfortability of the bathrooms, the cleanliness and all of that is super important. So there.
Is that a word? Comfortability?
It is now.
I've heard people
definitely
use it. But I didn't know if it was actually a word.
It's from Australia.
Yeah, it's Australian. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
We can turn anything into a word down here.
Right.
If Jen says it, it's a word. It's a word. Oh, see, there's my mum. My mum's watching. Hi, Mum.
Hi, Mom. How we doing?
Aw.
How we doing this fine morning? Oh, Rads. Oh,
Rads.
watching from
Okay,
Rads. I
so
thought she was calling us Rads. I was like,
no,
oh, that's
no. She's watching from
Rads.
Rads. So this is, it's the Australian thing. It actually, Rads is actually Adelaide, but we call it Rads.
That makes sense.
We don't.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Everything
That does make
makes sense, right? With our language. Yeah, not so
Clearly.
much.
Oh
So-
my gosh.
So, all right. So, Jen, tell us, kick us off here as far as what's a good idea, what's not a good idea, what's the good, the bad, the ugly, and how to decide whether it is or not.
Well, I'm certainly the last person, I think, to determine what a good idea or a bad idea is, because I'd like to share with you something that I would never have put out into the universe. And that is something that goes on your feet and is called a Croc. Croc shoes, I think, are a horrible idea, but egg is on my face because that is an ugly shoe that has made billions of dollars, maybe
Have they
millions.
gotten more comfortable? Because I tried them when they first came out back in what, 08 or 07, 09, something like that. Or at least I thought that's when they first came out. Maybe they had been around a long timer than that. Long time before that. And they just did not seem very comfortable. Like it was not
Well-
like a comfy shoe at all. It felt very harsh on the bottoms of my feet.
I
Like
have
was
no
walking on
idea.
pins.
I have no idea. I just the thought of putting one of those on my feet makes me nauseous.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jen. Like, I have not ever tried one because they are ugly, and the idea of putting plastic on my feet, ugh.
And there's
Are they
something
plastic
about
or
when you move,
foam?
when you slide into being comfortable, like in all aspects of your life, like so comfortable, it almost feels like you've given up. I just don't want to be. I don't want to be there yet. I don't want to be in my Crocs. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for the Crocs. I'm not ready for the elastic waist pants. I'm not ready for that. Okay. I mean, it's not my time.
No.
I'm going to put it off as long as possible.
Yeah,
Wait,
don't do it prematurely.
Yeah.
Time out. Am I the only one that hasn't worn jeans in like months now?
I have
I've
worn them once,
What
Joe.
are you wearing? What are you wearing? Are you wearing
Just
sweatpants?
well, they're not sweatpants like the traditional like stretchy. They're like I wear like running they're like running pants. But
Okay.
like not like tight like people running like yoga pants or something. No,
So
these are-
yeah, I'm living in
they're-
yoga pants.
Okay,
okay.
so these are like the male running equivalent of yoga pants, I guess.
That's okay.
They're
I
a
get it.
little stretchy,
Not-
you know.
I'm not hating it.
it's- Yeah, no, I love it. In fact, I
I'm
go
not
everywhere with them. I don't
I'm
know.
not about to wear them to a conference. PS. So when I come to DC Podfest, I will definitely be wearing something a little bit better, Jen. I promise.
Oh, well, I promise you a real bathroom.
Yay! It's winning all around.
Thanks.
All right, well, let's get to the topic. Okay, so what we thought would be a great topic today is how to determine whether your business idea is a stinker or if it's that $1 million idea, if it's something that actually people will want to purchase and is profitable. And it's not that easy sometimes to figure out if your idea is good or bad. And sometimes we get opinions from people that might not be the best people to provide opinions. But I'd like to start out this conversation with a quote from Frank Lloyd Wright. It's short. It's an idea is salvation by imagination. So I would like to encourage everyone to keep generating ideas because I think it's a great exercise of the mind. And I think the more ideas you have, you're really increasing your odds of having a good one. So that's what we're going to
Agree.
talk about.
Agree.
Yeah. And also, the other thing that I think inspired us to tackle this topic this week is that, you know, us being business owners and around a lot of people who have businesses or who are thinking about starting businesses, we see a lot of people stuck on the starting line because they try to get a lot of things together before they even launch. And those things might include a website, a logo, complete branding, everything, you know, completely built out, when what they really need to do is validate the idea. And you don't need to completely construct your business before you validate it. In fact, you could potentially lose thousands and thousands of dollars by being too premature with those steps. So I thought we would talk about like questions you can ask yourself when you're thinking about an idea and trying to determine if it's a good one, and then ways to validate your idea that don't cost a lot of money, but do take some effort and some strategy.
I think it's really good to know what you said then, Jen. So many people spend thousands and thousands of dollars spending to get their business up and running to only find out that no one wants it.
I know. So sad.
It is really sad. I've seen people lose a lot of money. And obviously, we do have to sort of say that, products are probably a little bit different to service-based industries. I'm in the, the knowledge or the expert industry. So it is a lot easier to get proof of concept than if we were, designing a product.
Although I will say, with sites like Kickstarter, a lot of things that you pay for on Kickstarter support, they're prototypes. They're not, they don't have a warehouse of these items. They're trying to prove that people want this. So they might have a prototype or two made. They show you, they educate you about the product. They might have a video demoing it, but they haven't invested tens of thousands of dollars in inventory because they want to make sure that they can sell it first. So it actually does apply to products as well. But I agree. My expertise is definitely more in the service sector than it is in product sector.
Good point.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I forgot about Kickstarter. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say just word of caution with the whole Kickstarter thing. When you do that, there's a lot of planning that gets involved with actually doing it. So just being like, hey, I made this like new flashlight that's like super awesome, like cool. Make sure that you get with somebody who's like a coach and that understands like what's going to actually happen when you do that Kickstarter and your success. I'm going to put in quotes, successful at it, because I one of my best friends had a Kickstarter that ended up bankrupting him. Like,
wow.
I took him. Yeah. Oh yeah. Because he didn't plan for, like, he got like $60,000 or $70,000. Didn't plan for that. Like all the costs of the things that he was going to be giving away. And then all of the emails because it was a game. So like when the game wasn't out, like a year later, they're like, hey, where's this going on? He's getting emails and it gets real ugly real fast, and at that point the money's gone because you probably didn't raise enough money to cover the cost of that, plus the cost of like development for a year and like leeway in case things don't go the way you plan. There's a lot that goes into that. So like, don't just be like, hey, I created a Kickstarter and like people are buying, awesome. Like, get it taught to somebody, taught to somebody first.
That's a good cautionary tale.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is why I will stay in my lane with service businesses, because I like low overhead personally.
Yes. Low overhead means more in the bank.
Yeah. So one thing, I found a quote from Richard Branson, which I thought was really wise, and I just like Richard Branson. So if I can find a quote from him, I will use it. And he says, the reality is that very few businesses invent a market for their products and services. Many, however, go on to reinvent markets by filling gaps with standout offerings. So he used the example of Uber, the app-based taxi service. It revolutionized the way we think about getting from point A to point B. But you would have found horse-drawn carriages for private hire on the streets of London and Paris in the 17th century. So they didn't they didn't create a market. They reinvented one that has been in existence since the 1700s. So I think it's good to think about that, because I think sometimes I see people being really ambitious and maybe they have a cool idea, but it is like a new market and it involves so much public education. It's just that hurdle is so hard to get over unless you have a tremendous amount of funding. And
absolutely,
99.9% of us aren't going to have the type of funding that is needed. And I think a lot of investors are turned off by that hurdle as well.
Well, I think even in a service industry, and I'm thinking of someone right now that has come up with an idea that other people don't understand yet. Whilst it's not costing her money per se in this education phase, it's costing her a lot of time, which turns into money. So if there's a big education phase, it will draw out that time to be able to get money in the bank.
Education is something I think a lot of people don't take into consideration when they think like, well, like Apple made the iPad and like people made fun of it. It's like, yes, but like Apple spent a ton of money researching, developing, and then marketing the snot out of something that people made fun of. Like non-stop, and now it's not the new computer, it's somewhere in between, but it's getting there, right? I could see in 5 years, 10 years it being the computer, like the MacBook isn't like absolutely. Absolutely. It's definitely it's getting there. Because the software is getting there and all that. But point being is like when you create something, you're right. You have to educate people around that. And it can be really, it is tough, right? And if you don't have the money to just dump into marketing, making sure people understand what the heck you're selling, then it might not go. So, and then the other thing you risk is somebody like in that time period while you can't deliver on it and maybe you can't explain it well enough because you didn't either surround yourself with the right people to help you explain it better or listen to the marketplace, and they like, oh, so you're basically selling a better camera. No, it's a telegraphic or like a whatever it's called. Hologram. It's like a holographic camera, blah, 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 blah. Like, so it's like a better one of these things, right? No. It's totally different. In the meantime, the big boys are like, oh, look at that. Well, we have money to educate people with that, and we can listen to what you say. Oh, now we made it. And now you're the pioneer with the arrows in your back.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Oh, I didn't cue it up fast enough.
All right. So we've all started businesses here. We've all had ideas, some of which we've pursued, some of which have landed on more have landed on the scrap pile, I venture to say, than we've ever had the time to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure we all have a litmus test or questions that we ask ourselves to determine if it's a good idea. My two big ones, I'll start this off. Does it save anybody time, and does it make anybody money? I think those are like the two big ones that people are looking for, particularly in services. How can you save me how can you save me time, and how can you make me money? So I always like to ask that question. If what I'm talking about, does my idea do either of those things? What else we got? Come on, guys. What else? I
think that it depends on what the business is. So if I think about one of my first businesses, which was a retail store, what I did was went to the people that were in that industry, and I asked them, would it be okay if I asked you some questions about, the kinds of things that you would purchase, the times of year that you would purchase, how much you would spend on these things. And I spent a lot of time, and probably a lot more time than people would, over a month, in going to other people in the industry and getting all of this information so that I had it in front of me to go, okay, I've got this amount of money to spend on stock. Where are we going to put this amount of money? Because I already know that there's people buying at these times. So that's a really great way to do it if you are in a product-based business, where I think a lot of people just buy stock that they like. I hear that all the time. People buy, start businesses for things that they like without really understanding, are there other people out there around me, that like those kinds of things? Or do I already have an audience? That's another great question to ask. Do I already have an audience in whatever it is that I'm selling, whether it is a service or a product?
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge step in validating an idea. It's just talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't speak for everybody. You've got to actually talk to your target market.
Yeah, I mean, is there, and just because there may be people, I think what great example of that is somebody I interviewed on the Dreamers podcast or the Super Joe Pardo show, whatever I'm calling it this week. I interviewed him a long time ago, and he said something effective like, I wanted to write a book that was specifically targeted to volleyball coaches, like to the pro level, like volleyball coaches. But then he started like looking at how many there were, and it was only like 2 or 3,000, 3,000 like college level coaches in the country. And he's like, so how am I going to sell this book? Right? Like how like, even if I sold to like 10%, 20%, 30%, that's not enough books sold to necessarily warrant me writing the book. Right. And the same to go with like, hey, I love X, Y, and Z things. So if I package all those things together, everyone, like people that are like me are just going to find it naturally and bring it out and buy it. But I mean, as I found, like it's like another thing to be conscious of is like this could be the best idea ever, but because it costs so much money to produce or for you to create it, it is no longer the best idea ever because the cost outweighs the benefit, right? And so that's another thing you have to like really think about is what you're able to charge, and then be willing to adjust and put yourself in a position to actually like, okay, it was this price, but now it's this price because that's what it's selling at. It can be difficult sometimes if you don't prepare yourself for that in advance, that you're like still trying to feel out the market.
Absolutely. So I think the big piece in this, in validating your idea, is who is it that you're selling to? And you need to know who is, because you need to go and speak with them. What I see a lot of people doing is coming up with a great idea and then talking to, Uncle Jack or, Uncle Bob at the barbecue and say, hey, I've got this idea. What do you think? And they're like, oh my goodness, it's a great idea, with no business background. They're saying it because they don't want to hurt your feelings. So you must get your idea validated from the people that are the most likely to actually spend money with you. They're the people who we want to listen to. The people that are going to hand over their credit card.
The people that don't just say they're going to, but the people that actually pull out their wallet and are like, here you go, take the monies.
Absolutely.
That's the people that, that's how you get real validation, right? Because it could sound like a cool idea to anybody, but unless they're opening up their checkbook. And I'm not saying this like, hey, I'm selling stocks in my brand new company that's just getting started.
Absolutely.
We're just talking about like, hey, I'm selling this new way to carry your hand sanitizer. It's going to make life so much easier so you never forget it.
Absolutely. So Jen, how did you get proof of concept for Sperrint?
Well, it was kind of strange in that I was using stay-at-home moms in my business as freelancers, and my co-founder was doing the same thing. In fact, we used some of the same stay-at-home moms. And so we kind of test marketed on ourselves as business owners, since we knew that this was a service we wanted to provide to other business owners like us who wanted to grow their companies, needed some help, but didn't need full-time employees or consistent, they didn't have consistent positions. They needed something like flexible. And we talked to a lot of stay-at-home moms because we happen to know quite a few. We have relatives. My sister's a stay-at-home mom, mommies groups, to find out if this is the kind of work that they could, that would be attractive to them, and to see what kind of skill sets they had since they were taking a break from, and found that there was really like this untapped resource. And then just talking to other business owners we know. Virtual assistants is not a new concept. I didn't reinvent the wheel. I did not reinvent the wheel, but we took it into an agency format as opposed to a one-on-one virtual assistant situation. And we tried to make sure that the skill sets were of a very high caliber. So there wasn't, it wasn't super sophisticated, in terms of market testing, but we did do our research. We did we talked to customers and virtual.
It doesn't need to be sophisticated though, right?
No, it doesn't.
Asking the question,
just
listening, talking, and lots of listening.
Talking. It's interesting because I think, sometimes people want to start a business and they struggle with even coming up with an idea. And I don't care who you are, if you work in, any kind of job, it gives you intimate knowledge. I don't care if you're working at Wendy's. I don't care if you're working at a corporate, have a corporate job, white collar job somewhere. There is a an industry that you all of a sudden have an intimate knowledge of. And because from that intimate knowledge, you know where there are weaknesses, where there are needs, there you know the problems they have, and you probably know how to solve them because you've seen them day in and day out. So, in terms of like finding a well of ideas, always go to where you have the most intimate knowledge and capitalize on that intimate knowledge.
Absolutely.
Because that is a seed of an idea. There's a seed of probably multiple ideas right there.
I validate my ideas, and like I mentioned, we are a service-based company. We help business owners. We validate every single product by selling it first. So we take all of our ideas, our programs, our coaching, whatever it is that we have an idea, we take it to a webinar or an online training, and if people buy it, then we've got proof of concept. We know that there's something in the marketplace. If people don't, we go back to the drawing board and, does this idea need to be tweaked or does it need to be scrapped? 9 times out of 10, it just needs a tweak somewhere or another, whether it's pricing or whether it's some sort of business model, whatever it is. Because generally, the way that we come up with our ideas is because people are asking for certain things, or we're listening, we're seeing people commenting, saying, we wish we had this, or where do you get that? So we already know 9 times out of 10 that something's going to work.
I love that. So this might be a question for you, Sam. Brent asked if masterminds could be a means of validation.
I think masterminds are an excellent place to get validation, because you're around like-minded people who've been out there, treading the. What's that saying? I'm bad on sayings. I should stop trying to say sayings. Treading the boards? Is that the saying? I don't know.
Treading water?
I don't know. I have no idea what I'm trying to say. Okay. Yes, masterminds are one means of validation. I think they're great.
And Brent had another question. Thanks for all the questions, Brent, by the way. Is there a threshold of acceptable cost to validate an idea? I don't think there's like a formula other than like, what can you afford?
Yeah.
Like you have to have a budget, you have to, because you want to recoup that cost at some point, but you also don't want that cost to bankrupt you or make the actual running of that business in its early days difficult.
I mean, you see that a lot in Shark Tank. Like they're like, oh, I invented this little widget and it's so awesome. And they're like, okay, great. Like how much have you spent so far? $750,000, and you're like, oh, I'm out because there's no way I can help you recoup that. Like, if it costs you like $7,500, I think it is. It depends on what your, I'm a big proponent of like lower, like Jen was saying, like lowering your costs and so you can make more money and put more money back into the business to keep it rolling, right? Wherever you can reduce those costs, especially early on, it's hard to justify those big expenditures and keep rolling for the foreseeable future.
I think you need to take the emotion out of it, right? Those people that spend $750,000, it's like, it's almost like, but we know it's good. We know it's right. They just have to prove that they're right and that it's good, rather than thinking, maybe it wasn't such a good idea after all.
Yeah, it's hard when they've spent their 401k. It gets real personal real fast.
It's I think it's a percentage, right? Like the more you're spending, the lower percentage chance you have of it actually working out, right? Like that's the thing. Like if you spent, I spent $5,000, the odds of it working out are probably more in my favor than me spending $700,000 or $500,000. But it also depends on what you get. And what's the market going to bear once it comes to market, and how fast you can recoup it, how fast you could sell it. It just depends on so many factors.
It does. And I love the way that you mentioned Richard Branson before, Jen. I love the way that Richard Branson got his proof of concept for Virgin Airlines, in that he was stuck. I can't remember where he was in the world, on some island, and there was a storm and he wasn't able to get home. So what he did was went and asked the other people that also wanted to get home, would you, put in this much to go and charter a plane? And they all got home. And, there was his proof of concept. All I did was say, where do you want to go? Let's make it happen. And I think that sometimes we make it harder than it has to be. I think that, pulling apart that strategy, getting really logical, looking at the figures, the numbers, breaking it all down is what's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I love ideas that are niche. I really do. I love them if they're niche. And I also like it if it's scalable, if it's a business idea that has legs, that can be extrapolated and take on more customers and handle that type of growth. I do like that. I was talking, I really don't, I'm going to like repeat my point just because I love it so much. And I think a lot of people don't think about it, but that intimate knowledge thing, the reason I am so stuck on that is because my very first business, which was very successful, I was making minimum wage at an animal hospital. I mean, I was, 19 years old. But I started pet sitting for their clients because their clients' pets were sick in some way. Their health was compromised. Maybe they needed insulin injections or subcutaneous fluids. Boarding at the animal hospital, super stressful. And I realized, oh, there's like a niche here. Like there are people that cannot travel because they don't want their pet. They can't board their pets because they're too sick. Yet it's hard to find somebody to come into their home that knows how to give insulin and knows how to give subcutaneous fluids and can pill a crazy cat. There was like a niche need there. And that's what started my business because I had intimate knowledge just by being in that space and seeing those clients come in and have that problem. And then, my calendar got booked up so quickly. And I was like, there are a lot of clients that have this problem, a lot of people with pets that need medicine. And then it expanded from there. So
that is so awesome. That is so awesome.
There's so many people in that. Any job you have, if you want to get out of it, pay attention to the clients coming into that job. All those problems.
You need to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of your ideal client, right? You don't need to be the Richard Branson level of business before you can start serving clients. Exactly. You just need to be ahead of where they are. And as long as you keep moving and staying ahead of them, you're able to keep servicing them.
I think one other thing about your story there, Jen, that you didn't mention is you weren't in like a major city either, were you?
I was in Arlington, Virginia, which is it's right outside DC. So it was very densely populated. So I was in this area. So there were a lot of people there. So that it worked. But it's not
like New York City or Chicago or Philly. Like it wasn't, so point being is that you don't have to be in a city that has, millions and millions of people literally in it to make something like that float. And that was my point was that,
you just have to solve a problem, right? It all comes down to solving a problem.
That's all business is solving a problem. That's it.
I don't know about you, but I walk a typical day. I see a lot of problems out there. There are a lot of problems.
There's a lot of problems.
I mean, a lot of problems. I hope you all go out there and solve them because I can't solve them all.
Jen's too busy. She can't do any more problem solving.
I mean, if you could just figure out how to keep the grocery carts from ending up in the highway, that's a problem I see every day. And I know there's technology out there. The grocery store near me does not use it, but I'm just saying there are problems. Find them, solve them.
And a lot of the time, think about a problem that you've got that you wish you didn't have. That's how I got into the business that I'm in now, because I'd come from a traditional businesses. We had 3 commercial rents. We had 3 storefronts that we had to look after. And I just was over going in every day, putting a key in the door or making sure we had staff to open those doors every day. And I just started to explore, is there a way that I can be in business where I don't have to do that? This was 10 years ago. It wasn't, as prevalent as what it is today. Most people understand that lifestyle businesses exist, but back then it was a fairly new thing. So I just explored what would I want? Well, I want to have a business where I could travel the world and work on the road. So I just solved a problem that I personally had.
I love that. I love that, Sam.
Nice. So I think that one of the things that I would like to leave people with this topic is to get your MVP or to get your idea validated by the right people. Because exactly as you said, Joe, Jen and I did not think that running a conference in your backyard was a great idea. We did not. But, I'm not going to be there, and I think that you probably will sell out really quickly. And one of my
I wish you would. I wish you would.
Well, I can't get on a plane. I'm sorry. There's just no coming.
Welcome. Jen,
I would love to be there.
You don't have to get on a plane. You can.
That's a lot of people in a porta potty. I just don't think I'm going to be there.
I'm going to have more than one, and we still have the house if we absolutely needed it. But the goal was to keep people out of the house as much as possible.
I don't know. I'm not ready. Honestly, I'm not ready to be around big groups of people.
I'm not either, but I'm hoping by September we will. But worst case, like I said, we're outdoors, so there's plenty of space to like separate ourselves, and it's for 50 people. It should not be a big deal at all. People are asking if they can bring their own tents to camp out in the back.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know about all that, but
I don't know.
That's so funny. So just make sure you get your ideas from the right people. As I was saying, one of my collaboration partners has a picture on his desktop, which is a picture of a chicken wearing a tutu. And that is to remind him that there is someone out there that has a successful business making tutus for chickens. If that person had have come, exactly. So get your ideas from the right people. Actually, there's someone in Australia that's making these little pendants. I can't say it. They're F-off pendants. Basically, what he did was he got this little flower and he put it in epoxy resin and he was like shouting at it to give it. It was started off as a TikTok video that was just as fun. Like he wanted people to stay away from him. Anyway, now it's turned into this massive thing. He's packing thousands of them a day because everyone's like, I want one of these F-off pendants. So, put your idea out there. Put it out there.
And I think you guys are you guys all familiar with the Pet Rock? Sam, are you familiar with the Pet Rock?
Yeah.
Oh, that was an idea. It started out as a joke. Gary Dahl, the creator of the Pet Rock, was hanging out with friends at a bar and they were complaining about their pets. And he joked about preferring to keep a rock. He later implemented that idea. And although the craze died quickly, he did earn $15 million within 6 months.
Wow.
All right. It was later picked up by Neiman Marcus. And 1.5 million people had to have one. I had a Pet Rock myself. So yes, I totally had a Pet Rock. So I guess what we're sort of saying is a little bit of this, I think, has to do with your gut. You can validate it all you want, but it's not a guarantee of its success or failure. I mean, some of the craziest ideas have been the most successful. Mm-hmm. And I think the magic bullet always is timing. That's the magic bullet. If you have a great idea and you've got the right timing, I mean, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Brent remembers sea monkeys. I also had sea monkeys.
I was not allowed to have sea monkeys and I wanted them so badly.
Brent would like volunteers to help him validate an idea. I will volunteer, Brent.
Happy to volunteer, Brent. Although, let me just tell you, I've poo-pooed a lot of Joe's ideas, so I might not be the right person.
Yeah. Brent, I don't know if Joe's complained to you yet about me, but I'm pretty, just... I don't sugarcoat
it. Straight up.
I mean, that's what I love about both of you. Offline, of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Brent.
Absolutely. Okay.
So why don't you message all three of us in a Facebook message post?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Is it? Oh, we can do a Zoom meeting. I'm cool. Let's do
I
that
only
too.
do Zoom meetings.
I just anyway.
So what would you guys like to leave this topic with? What do you think is the most important thing to remember in this topic? I've just thrown you both under the bus. I'm so sorry.
No, well, all right. I'm reminded of the quote about, from Walt Disney, right? And he's like, people go and be like, I got a great idea. And he'd be like, no, you have an idea. I'll tell you if it's great.
Which coming from him is a
Like-
bit funny because everyone thought that the idea of Disneyland was not a great idea.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it wasn't. It wasn't though. He'd be broke. So the thing about Disneyland, if it wasn't for his brother Roy, he would be. It wouldn't have been a great idea because it basically was set up to fail as far as from a monetary revenue standpoint. So like, yeah, if that was the case, like Disney World probably wouldn't have made it. It would have went under. Yeah. So technically, it wasn't a great idea.
Yeah.
There you
would
go.
say-
And he had somebody else to help. Like,
Surround
keep it.
yourself with the right people.
Yes.
Yeah. I think what I would like to leave people with is get your idea out there. I mean, you can pre-validate it as much as you want, but it really, until it's launched and until you try to sell it, and I'm not saying, and take our advice, just minimally viable product. See if you get some customers. Or get some, because the only way you're going to tell is if you do that. And also the only way to really get true intel is to put out in the world and find out what people, how they want you to improve upon it, or what direction it should go, or what other service that you need to add on to it. You'll find out more about what people want from you once you actually start taking their money.
But Jen, someone's going to steal my idea then.
I wouldn't worry about
Oh
it.
my goodness, I hear that all the time. I love that you said that with a smile on your face, Joe, because we hear it all the time. No one can steal your exact idea because no one knows what's going on in your head.
And most people are not doers. Most people are thinkers and dreamers. It's a small percentage of people in the world that are actual doers, because that's the riskiest part. Anybody can have an idea. It takes a whole different person from a different cut of cloth to actually make it happen.
Absolutely.
What's wrong, Joe?
I was going to say, I feel like...
Are you finger pointing at me?
No. Why would I
Oh,
say
okay.
that?
Well, about like, oh, you're going to have people come to your house in your backyard and then host a conference.
No.
That's what I said. Like a whole different set of people. like
No.
this guy.
I was just saying,
like this guy over here.
there are always going to be people with ideas, but there's a lot less people that actually take those ideas and turn them into realities.
Exactly.
Right, and they're not you, right? They don't have the experiences. They don't have. They aren't you. So like somebody else could do the same thing, but they're not, right?
Exactly.
Just
Exactly.
right. Jen's not. Jen and I both host podcast conference. Sam will soon be joining the crowd, the group too. But she's not willing to do it, and I am. So.
Yep. But we all do it in our own way.
We all do it in our way.
Absolutely.
We do.
Absolutely. So Jen, what's grinding your gears this week about your diet, other than your diet?
Okay, this is kind of about my diet. It's what prompted it. Let me ask you this, because you all have significant others. People listening, I'm assuming you have somebody significant in your life. I shouldn't assume that, but say that you do. Have you ever had them take a picture of you and then share it without your permission?
Oh,
And it's not flattering.
we have a rule in my house.
Yes.
I have to check it first. It's a thing. It's a thing.
I thought we had that rule. I thought we had that rule. We've been married a long time. We've been together. I've been together with this man for more than half of my life.
Oh.
And he took a picture of me this weekend. And I knew it was bad, but I didn't know he was going to share it, because he was sitting in the grass and I was in one of those like foldable chairs. And he's taking it from like the ground up. Not a good angle for anybody. I don't care. Even if you're a supermodel, it's a bad angle. I'm not a supermodel. I wasn't like, I just wasn't posing or anything. It was so bad. And like my fat was hanging out. You could see it through my shirt. And it was just gross. And before I knew it, he had sent it to my sister and my brother-in-law. And my sister's like super fit, like, super like workout, she's just a beast. And I was like, oh my God, like you can't send like 30% body fat picture to a 0% body fat person. That's not right.
Jen, my heart's going out to you right now.
You ladies, you know what I'm talking about. And this is not about body shaming. This is all about just me like not feeling good about myself. And when I saw that picture, I was like, oh my God, diet starts tomorrow. Anyway, but the grind my gears is, I don't care who you are, if you take a picture of somebody unsolicited, please don't share it without their permission. Okay? I mean, the internet is a powerful thing.
I love it. I think that's the best grind my gears you've ever had, Jen. 10 out of 10 from me.
Okay.
I don't know. My mom's pretty good at taking pictures of people when they're not paying attention and then posting them all on Facebook. All of them.
Oh my gosh. Family is the worst about like taking pictures of you eating, like, you know, Thanksgiving. Let's take a picture while you've got like mashed potatoes half in your mouth. I mean,
Oh,
yeah. Anyway, that's a little bit of vanity, but we're all, I mean, I'm not going to apologize for it. We're all a little vain.
Because human.
Because we're human.
Human.
Brent says that, this is about your backyard idea, Joe. He says, the thing that's cool to me about the backyard idea is it's different and it gives me a way to feel part of it without actually being there. Aw, I love different ideas, Brent. I appreciate that about it too.
Unless it's Joe's idea.
No. Hang on a minute.
Unless that's something has a porta potty attached to it. My biggest issue, honestly, is the porta potty.
I didn't think about the fancy porta potty.
And I'm not going to share the whole thing, but there was a whole private discussion about why we didn't think it was a good idea that we're not going to talk about now. But I still think what you're doing is very cool, Joe. Thanks for throwing us under the bus.
We
were just looking out for you.
No, I know, obviously. You know what? It speaks to the genuinity. Is that a real word?
It is now in Australia.
Yes,
it's Australian.
Yeah, right. And to both of you and the relationship that we all have, and the fact that we care so much enough to be able to say like, hey, that sounds really crazy.
Yeah, we have a transparent relationship. I would say we've known each other long enough and been friends long enough that we feel very comfortable being honest with each other.
There's almost like a whole show that's separate. Once we hit stop going live, there's a whole nother show there.
Oh boy.
And it's only for the very thick-skinned people.
Only.
Yes.
I would love to know. I know we've got several people watching. I would love to know what your business, if you have any business ideas that you haven't pursued, but there's that one idea. I think we all have a one idea that like kind of keeps nagging at us that I always think is the idea that you should pursue, the one that you keep that keeps coming up. I'd love to know what's stopping you from pursuing the idea. Is it fear? Is it finances? I think it's usually fear over finances because I think you can usually get around the financial obstacle with some creativity, but it's harder to get around the fear. I'd love to know. I'd love to know that.
Absolutely. And I think that financial stoppage a lot of times is because people don't really tap into the resources or the resourcefulness of the people that are around them. There is always ways around things. If you really want something enough, there's always ways around.
Yeah. Pre-sales.
I would agree. Yeah, right? Set up a pre-order. And that's better than a Kickstarter if you ask me, because
100%, you're in charge.
Right. Yeah. It's just a pre-order. You're not actually like, hey, you order this and I'm going to give you this and this marker right here and this terry cloth, like.
But don't spend that money. Don't spend that money until you've delivered the product.
Exactly. Exactly. We have a one cool thing I forgot to mention, I think at the beginning, talking about how IBM is doing a pretty cool thing if you're into like privacy and all that stuff. IBM will no longer offer or develop facial recognition software. I have two differing feelings about that, because I actually, if you're in a public place, I don't really have a problem with it. But it's obviously it's the people who do the bad things with it that's when the technology gets in the wrong hands, that's when things can go crazy. So, but I also feel like, hey, if IBM's not doing it, then that just leaves somebody else to be doing it, and then IBM to buy that person, because obviously IBM's doing well enough to not innovate in another sector.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think this comes back to racial bias. So IBM says that studies in recent years, including by researchers, they name a couple of researchers, with complicated names, have revealed the extent of bias in facial recognition tech and how this leads to a disproportionate targeting of people on the basis of race and ethnicity, as well as a violation of privacy. So this is why they have really backed off from the technology and the potential financial rewards that come with it. And I'm so happy that they have, because I don't think it's serving us the way we want it to serve us, and it's certainly not serving certain populations fairly. I think it puts another target on their back unnecessarily.
And I think it's really cool that they've just called it out as well. Called it out for what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I would go along with the idea that, like, so I don't know, Jen and Sam, do you have like the stop red light cameras by you in your state? Because they got rid of them in our state. They had them for a while, not everywhere. Just there was only certain intersections had it, and then they finally decided to ditch them. And thankfully, because it's just dumb. It caused more accidents and more dumb tickets than needed.
Are you talking about the cameras that take your photo if you go through a red light? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, we have them.
We have those too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have them here. Definitely, I'm not a fan of those. Not that I'm trying to run red lights, but just, the people trying to avoid getting a ticket unnecessarily and then potentially causing an accident behind them.
That's what I always worry about.
Right?
Yeah, you hit. The first thing you do is look in your rear vision mirror to see who's going to hit me.
And then you realize that you look up and you're like, is there a right turn on red here? Can I make? Well, I guess you're driving the opposite side of the road, right? Sam. Yeah. So I guess left turn on red is Like, but if there's a sign that says no turn on red, then and there's a camera there, well, then you just ran a red light. Like, and sometimes they put it so far back that you can't tell what that sign was if you weren't paying attention at the time in which you went to go do it. So, those, I'm not a fan of those. And this is so I guess this ultimately is a big win.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I'll be interested to see if it sticks. Like, I would love to actually I'm sure that we'll forget this, but, go back in 12 months' time, 2 years' time, 3 years' time, and see if it's still a thing or whether it's just been, swept under the carpet, no one's noticed anymore. And I don't get...
See if any other companies follow suit, too.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not the
absolutely.
only company with facial recognition software, so we'll see if this starts a movement of its own kind. It is about the Benjamins typically, Brent, but I'm hoping that some of these companies are also seeing the benefit of having some ethics in their collection of the Benjamins.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up this episode, unless either of you have... Oh, wait. Jen, you have something that I just found out about.
What?
The Six-Figure Salon.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah, coming on the heels of the first Small Business Grit Summit, the Six-Figure Salon is part of that series. That's for women who love their figures large. So if you have a small business and you want to be in the six figures, or you're in the six figures and you want to be in the high six figures, this is sort of the sweet spot for us during this conference. So you can go to smallbusinessgrit.com and grab your early bird ticket. We'd love to see you September 14th through 18th. It's going to be a combination of live and interactive events that will then be recorded for your on-demand pleasure.
Love it.
Yay.
Love it. Awesome.
Thank you, Joe.
Sam, you have anything you want to plug? We should make that a thing,
Yes. Thank you. I'm running a 4-hour online workshop on June 25th, with June 25th US, June 26th Australian, called Content Creation Lab. It's a 4-hour workshop on how to create content that actually isn't just wasting your time, and also creating a really good content that delivers results and how to do it without spending your whole day sitting down, in front of your computer. So you can go to samanthariley.global/content Lab.
Oh,
Awesome,
that sounds
awesome.
Thanks, Joe. And you've got
Yeah,
your
of course.
Monetize Your Podcast coming up.
Yes, on June 27th, we have the Monetize Your Podcast virtual conference coming up. And actually, you can check out the Podcasting for Beginners conference for free. It's 8 hours long. You can check out all the talks that were given by some really awesome people during that time. So, yeah, go to IndiePodCon or indiepodcasters.com//virtual, and it says Joe's daily virtual conference.
You're so
Yeah,
many.
well, I'm doing so many I'm doing a daily podcast basically right now through doing Facebook Lives and then posting them as podcasts. So it's been a lot of fun going through that. So yeah, you should totally go check that out. I got to post Friday's episode still, but actually, I'm glad I checked here because I'm missing some episodes here,
I just want to know
so
if you're
I
going to
gotta
run
get
out
those
of
in.
facial expressions that match
Oh,
your
no.
episode
Have you-
titles because
No, I mean,
that's quite a skill.
No, I gotta. I mean, that's the upping the YouTube game, right? Like you gotta have 1,000 and
I did not know this.
oh yeah, just go to YouTube.com. I mean, look, I could show you right now. It looks all it is facial expressions. Look, here we go. Ready? Facial expression, facial expression, facial expression, facial expression, facial expression, facial expression, facial, blah blah blah. It's just facial expression.
But yours really
looks
match
happy.
your episode titles.
Well, I mean, I like the thing. Well, his is always like crazy. Like Graham Stephan, he's a great. If you're into like money finance stuff, like he does a really great job. Real down to earth kid. I say kid, but he's about my age. He's like 30 or 29, something like that. So yeah, he's real good. A lot of great information there. But yeah, see, it's all facial expressions. Nothing.
Wow,
but
YouTube
face.
101. I'd missed that memo too, Jen.
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
all
when you
about
have
the
a face, you have
thumbnails.
an expression, right? You have.
Well, was it so? PewDiePie was the most subscribed to YouTuber on YouTube outside of T Series in India. He went on strike at one point and said, "I'm not creating any more like facial expressions for my videos." And he's just like, literally, there's like a string of like 15 episodes where it's just the same facial expression over and over
hilarious.
and over.
And did it work?
It didn't matter because he's the most. He has 100.
Because he's PewDiePie.
Yeah, exactly. So he like it's the same like it's he just like literally uses. Oh, here you go, same picture. There's the run, where he just was like, screw it, I'm not doing it. He also posts daily, so I don't blame
Wow.
him for wanting to take a little bit of a shortcut and just say, screw it, we'll just
Absolutely.
take one picture and do it live. It's all good. Anyway,
Brilliant.
Wow,
it's been a
902.
great
Look
episode.
at us.
Yeah, I know we're running
Yeah.
late. I'm going to play the music and say the outro, and we are going to get out of here. We don't have our topic for next week, but we will post it as soon as we do. I hope everybody stays safe. And, I've been thinking up a new like way to sign off with because I'm doing these daily episodes and, in the Indie Pod. And I came up with, and it's not super original because there's like 54,000 results or something on Google when I search for it. But I just want you all to lead with love. That's what I would like to leave you all with. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Business Geeks podcast, share it with the Business Geek in your life. Send us your questions and suggestions to questions@businessgeekspodcast.com. Catch us next Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, or Tuesday, 10 a.m. Australian Eastern time. Everybody, take care. Have a great weekend.